Welcome to A Gay and a NonGay.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm gay. My name's James Barr. He's non-gay.
And I'm Dan Hudson.
Yes.
And Tia Kofi's in the house.
Oh my God.
Hi, I'm Slay.
Hi, babes.
Thank you.
Love this
whole
outfit.
thing.
Yes. Congratulations on winning Drag Race UK versus the world.
Thank you.
You reverse colonized the world. I love that for you.
I really did. As a half Nigerian, it was important to me to ensure that we decolonized everything as much as possible.
Did you have that in your head as you were going through the journey?
What, decolonization? I have it in my head every second of the day. No, do you know what? It was really important to me to get to the final because in the UK franchise, I'm sure you remember, in the UK franchise, we've only had white winners.
Yeah.
So there was a point where I was just like, I really want it to be me and Marina as the top two so that we can make sure that a brown wins.
Time has come to crown our queen. Tia Kofi!
But it was me and Hannah, which I was also happy with because she was my bestie the whole season.
Yeah.
So.
Hannah basically eliminated Marina, is that right?
Yeah, by cracking out sunglasses and a microphone.
Yeah. So
Who saw that coming?
Did you feel good about that? Were you because it's hard, isn't it? Because you don't want your friends to go, but also people need to be eliminated and you want to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's different in the final because you've got the top four lip syncing, and if they don't win the lip sync, they just sit 1.5 meters away from you. So, it doesn't feel like anyone's been sent home. It feels like a lovely conclusion to events, but I was very happy. Well, I was shocked when Marina got eliminated. And then, do you want to know a fun fact that I don't think I've actually told anyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan would love to.
And you'll know
He's such a Drag
every
Race
detail,
fan.
of what I'm saying. So after I lip synced against Le Grand Dame, I cried backstage while they were making the decision. And I turned to one of the Queen team who looked after us.
The Queen team.
Yeah.
Are
And
they
I
like
said,
the chaperones on Strictly?
yeah. And I said, if I win this lip sync, I have to give my place to Marina, right? And they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, she deserves to be in the final. Like, I have to give up my place. And they went and got the head of the Queen team, the iconic Wendy, who you might remember from the season 4 makeovers. And she came up to me and went, what are you talking about? You have worked as hard as anyone else to be here. How dare you say that? Like, if you win the lip sync, you're going to the final. That's it. And I was like, okay, work, Wendy.
Oh my God, so you were going to eliminate yourself?
I was going to fall, like, bend to the ground and be like, give my space to Marina.
Why?
Please don't play this to RuPaul because she'll think I'm ungrateful. But I'm not ungrateful. I just have a lot of anxiety problems.
I think RuPaul's probably too busy to listen to this podcast.
No, she subscribes.
Do you think? Do you think she's
100%.
subscribed? She's not a Patreon.
How do we sign up to
Oh,
the
thanks.
Patreon?
Good. Thank you for asking. You can go to gaynongay.com/donate.
You know when you film the final, it's legit, right? Because you know with The Apprentice and stuff, they film multiple versions of people winning and whatnot. And then they decide at the last minute who's won.
No, we film multiple endings.
Do you?
Yeah.
So you don't know until you watch it?
We don't know until it actually airs. And in some regions of the world, if you looked at the subtitles, me and Hannah both won. So,
What?
yeah, they
Is that because they weren't
up.
sure at first?
Do you know what? I don't know.
That's so interesting.
I had my suspicions that it might be a double crowning, like from the way the season was going. But gag, it was just me. Sorry, didn't have to share the money.
Slay. I interviewed Alan Carr a while ago on my radio show, and we were talking about what it's like being a drag race judge. I don't know if you ever saw this clip, but I really want to play it to you.
Spend any time with the drag queens on the show. They keep us separate. I don't see any of the backstage stuff. So when I watch it on the telly, there's me raving about someone going, oh, you are the best. You make this competition wonderful. And there's her a cow backstage slagging everyone off, being so manipulative. And I'm like, I love you. I said about, Tia Kofi or so. I mean, when she first came on, I mean, her outfits were a bit, and I was quite critical. But then when I saw her backstage, she's very deadpan. She's got a great sense of humour. And actually, DM'd her and said, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't get it. I didn't know that was you, because you'd come on as that pigeon and flap her wings. I was like, really, love? That's your best.
Iconic scene.
Thoughts?
So I was convinced that Alan hated me.
Really?
Yeah, because obviously we don't see any of the judges' deliberation. We just see what they say to our faces.
Yeah.
And I was experiencing what Alan was saying to my face, and I was like, I've never spoken to a human like this in my life. This is so cruel.
Yeah. Did he DM you and say, oh, sorry, I didn't get it, and now I get it?
Yeah, he did.
He did?
He actually did. And then he said it to me in person as well at the Attitude Awards I think 2 or 3 years ago, we presented Tom Daley with an award together, and Alan apologised to me backstage and then agreed to give me a piggyback onto the stage, which was a mistake because my outfit was actually pinned together because the person making it hadn't finished sewing it, and it was really stressful for me. But yeah, and then we did that, and it's like lovely to hear that, because I think that's just true of people, isn't it? Like, you don't see all the sides of someone at one time. We've spent more time together and learnt more about each other and seen the things that we have in common.
You make it sound like we've fucked now, the way you've worded that, but...
I didn't want to tell everyone.
What have you learnt about James?
Lots of things.
Yeah, wouldn't you like to know? So, I mean, there's been a huge glow up for you in terms of your drag journey.
I'm wearing a bowl cut right now. Now is not the time.
Now is not the time to bring that up. Do you feel the same? Like, do you still feel like that pigeon, or have things changed for you?
Oh, that's actually profound in many ways.
Thank you.
I think I do still feel like the pigeon, because I think a lot of things are like facade. Like, the whole aesthetic choice is still like an ongoing like panic for me, because there are lots of things that I can't do like other queens in terms of like the makeup and all of that kind of thing. But I can like buy a nice wig. I'm not wearing it right now, but I can buy a nice wig, and like you can buy nice costumes. But there are certain things like that I can't change about myself that mean that I'm never going to like look a certain way. One of those things being my fear of needles. So unfortunately, I can't get all the Botox and the filler to like give the more traditional All-Stars glow up. But I feel like I've executed it in my own way, and I still, you know, have my insecurities and my own issues that I struggle through. But when Simon Jones PR pushes me onto the stage while I'm crying at the side, we give a show and we do the thing.
Yeah. And as a person, do you think that you have changed from that first season that you did to this season and beyond?
Yeah, I think I'm actually more insecure as a person now.
You think you're more insecure?
Yeah.
You just won Drag Race UK versus the World.
Yeah.
You have a music career.
Yeah.
You have an amazing podcast.
Yeah.
And you're more insecure.
Yeah.
How does that...
Well, I feel like before I went on season 2, I'd watched the first season and I saw Bag of Chips get all the way to the final. So I thought with the wardrobe, you have no idea what I'm talking about, right?
No, I do.
Oh,
I do. I did watch that season of...
Oh, okay, same.
Yeah.
oh my God, I forgot you were here.
But when I turned up with all my stuff that I'd had made, and it was like custom and all of that kind of thing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get all the way to the final and I might not win, but I'm going to get there and I'm going to make everyone really proud of me. As soon as I saw what everyone else had, as soon as I realised what was happening, my confidence plummeted. And from there on, I sort of like stayed at that level. But the more things grow and the more things you sort of like do, I feel like the more that you've got to be worried about. And so I haven't sort of got to that place where I'm like, I'm the most confident person in the world. You can't tell me anything. I'm a lip sync assassin. I'm like, just as nervous and shy as I always was, because the more I grow in confidence, the more things there are to worry about.
And I suppose you've allowed yourself to be more authentic with that. Like, if you talk about these things, then you can't go crazy, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, no one can sort of like come for me on that front, because I'm like perfectly happy to talk about it. And I don't think people should have this view that you have to have this like delusional level of confidence to be able to sort of like succeed in your industry, in what you want to do. I think you can be humble and a little bit insecure and like slightly concerned about things and still work as hard and achieve your goals.
That's a really interesting point. I'm just trying to process that.
This is therapy.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing right now.
But you're so right. I mean, Drag Race, I don't know if it probably does lately, but at the beginning, it certainly didn't allow for that, because you're on TV and you're like, I'm going to win this challenge. I'm the best. No one's ever seen anyone like me. Was that difficult, having to put that on?
I don't think I put it on. I think I was very sort of like earnest and honest. And like the way that Drag Race is, you sort of like are sat in a room and you're hearing all these people say these things. And it's like overwhelming. Like on a regular season of Drag Race, someone's like, I'm the lip sync assassin and you'll never take me down. And I'm sat there going, if you're the lip sync assassin, that means you've been bad at multiple things to have to like fight your way out of getting eliminated. People can turn something that is absolutely not a compliment, like being a lip sync assassin, not a compliment. They turn it into this like grand badge of honor. And I'm like, oh, I can't be dealing with that kind of stuff. I'm thinking about what flavor pot noodle I'm going to have when I get back to my hotel room tonight. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
What is the flavour of choice?
Well, as a vegan, there are only certain flavours that I can have. And one of those is, in fact, I believe beef and tomato.
No way.
Yeah.
That's a vegan option.
I believe it is, yeah. Most of them are vegetarian. They don't contain any actual meat.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that about pot noodle. I love that you jumped on the pot noodle question.
Well,
Finally, you were like, something I can relate to.
Yeah, well, I knew when you started saying that about vegan pot noodles, I was thinking that none of these things can have meat in them, surely.
No, not one of them. And that is what I think people should take away from this podcast.
Absolutely. Presumably you can eat meat-flavoured crisps and stuff as well, because there's no...
Some of them... I don't actually know. I'm not very good because I'm still quite new to the whole veganism thing. It's only been about 8 months. So sometimes with crisps, I'm like, oh, just ate that.
I feel like this is probably not okay to say this, but it feels very queer to be vegan. Do you feel like it's part of that identity? Like it feels part of the identity. I'm like, I want to be vegan.
Yeah. I feel like I've upped my level.
Yeah.
In a full face of makeup as a vegan. I feel like I am the final evolution of the queer Pokemon that I am.
Because it's not queer eating steak, really. That's not a queer vibe.
I don't know.
Well, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah, it depends.
It is meat, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends on the vibe.
That's a good point.
Also, a lot of gays are quite flashy with the cash, right? And steak is normally the most expensive.
Flashy with a cashy.
Yeah.
the pink pound.
Are we
The
flash
pink
with
pound.
cash? I don't know if we're flash with the cash.
I don't know if you are specifically, but that's a thing, right?
Well, not in this economy.
Yeah, I don't know
honestly.
if that's... I don't know
No
where you
one's
got
flashy.
that from. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean, really.
Is that not a thing that like gays like to throw big, expensive parties and buy steaks?
I think I was thinking of like Piers Morgan.
You're thinking of Tories.
Yeah.
I think you're perceiving that we look very jazzy as a collective.
Yes.
So we seem like we're very flashy, but not
Right.
always.
No, this was 20 quid, this little
Right.
outfit that I'm in today. This might look flashy, but it's not flashy.
You look
Okay.
gorge.
Thanks,
I love
babe.
this.
You look gorge too.
I clocked you from a distance and I was like, fierce.
No, yeah, we were on the phone trying to find each other and you were like, oh, you look amazing.
That happened.
And then you got close and you were like, oh, maybe not.
That didn't happen. That part was not true.
No, that is not true. So your podcast is so fun and I'm obsessed with sci-fi. This is something no one knows about me. Is this how you felt about sci-fi?
Gag. A lot of my drag was like based around sci-fi stuff when I started. So
Yeah.
I've always embraced this like glamorous geek. But I'm glad that I can...
Well, it's
air it
so
with
cool.
people.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool to mix drag with sci-fi. In a way, I already think drag sort of existed in sci-fi. Do you agree?
Oh, mama, like half the people in sci-fi things are in full drag. Tell me that Spock with the ears and the bowl cut is not giving drag.
You're giving Spock today, actually.
That is always my dream. I am secretly a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Which is why I have to focus on logic at all times. No, that's neurodivergence. That's why I have to
Yeah,
focus
I
on
think
logic at all
that's-
times.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, fully. They're giving full drag. Ahura in that little mini skirt with an updo, drag.
Very drag.
I guess all of Star Wars right now, I'm thinking about it.
Princess Leia. Princess Leia. Am I right, girls?
Exactly.
You're right. Dan doesn't know how to react. It's so funny.
I'm enjoying
Princess
this.
Leia, yes.
Do you want to talk about football or something? I don't know how.
Dan
Not
doesn't
really.
like football.
No, not really.
No, it's so weird.
We can talk about Oasis if you want.
Not the tickets on a
Yeah.
sliding scale.
I want to go back to sci-fi.
okay, sorry.
I mean, you look a little bit like Noel with the bowl.
Thank you. I'll get a Parker.
Actually, you are serving Oasis chic right now.
Thank you.
Yeah,
which is
the
a
bowl cut is
compliment.
very like that. I didn't see that.
That's what I was going for. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you picked up on it.
Yeah, wow.
Thank you. Are you planning to release an Oasis cover? Could you do that?
Yeah, but I would obviously refer to myself as Oasis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is far more slay.
That is slay. I'm wondering what song you could do. I'm trying to pun one of their songs as I speak.
At the moment, I'm panicking. I'm only at Cumderwall, so
Come to Wall's great.
That doesn't work.
That's really good. I love that.
Okay, we'll go with Cumderwall. I'm not proud
You're
of
my
myself. for that.
come to what? No, I think that's good. What do you think, Dan?
I'm not sure about that one.
Tell us about your podcast, The Final Frontier.
Oh, The Final Frontier is my very own podcast where I interview, chat to, catch up with people that you may recognise from television and such places.
Sounds great. Tell us more.
It's all about sci-fi and fandoms. I sort of expanded it more because I feel like there's wider conversations that can be had about fandoms, particularly in 2024. Experiences with fans as well as fandoms that you're part of. I've had a lot of conversations about Glee, actually. Considering it was a sci-fi podcast. You wouldn't think Glee, but...
No, that's interesting. Glee isn't really where I go to when I think of sci-fi.
Do you regularly break out into choreographed dance and song with your friends? Sci-fi.
True. Have you discussed things like the Star Wars fan base, like cancelling acolyte.
Oh, have not had that conversation yet, but that is a
Interesting.
controversial yet brave thing for you to raise.
Thank you. Yes, because they obviously cancelled the acolyte.
What is that?
Everyone's
What is
been
the
saying,
acolyte?
I can't be bothered to explain it to you, but everyone was saying it's because of the backlash online because it was very queer. I mean, I didn't think it was that queer personally, but
I can see how it is for people who are like not exposed to that kind of world.
a non-binary person.
Yeah,
Wow,
very,
yeah.
very that. And I think also, you know, they latched onto one thing, but it was very diverse in its casting of like
Absolutely.
people of colour and things like that.
Lesbian witches.
Yeah, so I feel like people just went, no, it's stuff that's not a white straight man, so I hate it.
Yeah, and I think so. In that sense, I think your podcast is really important because you're allowing the world to see that that sci-fi is really queer
Yeah,
and that it's always been queer.
it has. And I think it's also like something that like young queer people always find a little bit of solace in is that story of people who can't talk about their powers and have to keep them to themselves, and then suddenly they get to unveil them to the world and it's magical and they save the day.
Yeah.
Like there's so much power in like us discovering those stories.
I love that.
Talking of your podcast, so when season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race was on, we had loads of the drag queens pass through. For some reason, I think you slipped the net. Every drag queen that we got on the podcast, we played a game with called Drag Queen or Scientist.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 3 names, and you're going to tell me whether they are a drag queen or a scientist. And it's harder than you think. Number 1, drag queen or scientist, Max Planck.
Max Planck.
Max
Yeah.
Planck. Okay.
I mean, feels like a drag king name,
Yeah.
but Max Planck. I don't think a scientist would call themselves Max. I think they'd be very serious about it.
Why would they change their name though if they are a scientist?
Well, I feel like if you're a Maximilian or even a Maximus, you'd go by the full
yeah,
name.
you would. You're right.
But then Maximus Planck sounds more like a drag king.
Yeah.
I told you it's harder than you think.
Dr. Max Planck. I feel like I've heard it though.
Yeah.
And that means it could be either in my world.
Exactly.
I'm going scientist.
He is a scientist. He's a German theoretical physicist, and he discovered energy quanta.
Wow.
That actually makes sense with my YouTube algorithm, I'm not going to lie.
Does it really?
Yeah, I don't understand what it means, but I like watching stuff about like string theory.
What's that?
I don't know, but
Okay.
I like watching it.
That sounds complicated.
All right, Edwin Powell Hubble.
Oh, we know
Hubble
that.
telescope.
Of course, I'm playing with you, by the way. I've not seen these. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hubble
Oh,
telescope.
I didn't know he was like well known, but there
The
you go.
Hubble
yeah.
telescope.
I've not heard of the Hubble telescope.
You've never heard of the Hubble
The
telescope?
stars.
Babes, it's like one of the biggest telescopes ever.
Really?
I don't really know anything about it, but I know it's famous.
It's a big telescope.
yeah, it's big and thick.
Okay, well, that is
I tried to help.
that is Edwin Powell Hubble. And last one, Polly Filler.
I mean,
Babe, this is not hard, is it? You've made this very easy.
Why?
Polyfiller.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be a scientist, is it?
Why?
Because it's like polyfiller.
Who is this guy?
I don't know. Blink twice if you need help.
You know what polyfiller is?
Yeah.
Well, I guess they could have been a scientist, the person that made it.
Can I get a spelling of the surname?
Filla.
Fila. No. I think it's...
Put it this way, someone had to invent Polly
Yeah,
Filler.
no, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we're wrong.
No,
Maybe
because polyfiller's not called polyfiller because it was named after Dr. Polly Filler.
How do you know that?
Well, how do you know that?
Well, because it fills things, and then also it's probably like the chemical name for whatever it is, like poly something.
Right, now I'm back with you.
There's
yeah.
no way must be a drag
But
queen.
Dr. Polyfiller might have filled things too, but I think drag queen.
It is drag queen, yeah.
Yes.
But I thought I might get you on that one.
Well, you nearly
But
did.
I nearly did.
No,
Well, maybe
no.
not. I was both siding that debate for a
Wow.
second.
I supported you for the drama, but we were going drag queen no matter what.
2 out of 3 is not bad.
I think
That
we
was
got
really
3
good.
out of 3 now.
I enjoyed it.
Did you get 3 out of 3?
Yeah.
Did you get Max Planck as being a scientist?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
All right, let me
Tia
do
slayed
again.
that. Tia got them all right.
I'm sorry, I'm far too competitive to just
Yeah,
accept
you
2 out of 3.
You can't just re-record that now. It's done.
All right,
It
well,
was
let me
3 out.
correct myself. You did not get 2 out of 3, you got 3 out of 3. Well done.
Congratulations.
That was drag queen or scientist.
I want to talk to you briefly about your music because I'm actually a huge fan of your recording career. I love
I
it.
was hoping we were going to play Trivial Pursuit after that.
And I mean,
After.
that would
But
be great.
music,
No,
yeah.
but like, so you did one of the songs for the Heartstopper podcast, which is beautiful.
I did.
And currently your most streamed song. I checked the Spotify charts.
Oh, currently in the, yes.
Yeah, well, on your chart, it's number 1, if that makes sense.
In the Spotify charts, it's
In
number
your
2000.
Spotify, yeah, who knows? Who knows? But are you planning to continue recording songs?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
I mean, it's something that I really enjoy. I like writing. It gets my feelings out. It's like an additional layer of therapy for me. which is probably not something that my ex-boyfriends particularly enjoy, but sorry, you should have been nicer. So yeah, no, it's a good way for me to sort of like get the feelings out. And I just love it when people, especially songs that I've written, when people get what it is. Like there's one comment that I got that was someone sort of like fully listening to the song and understanding the nature of the relationship that I was talking about in it. And it just made me feel so happy that they were like, I see myself in that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yay, we did the thing.
Yeah, I didn't know whether we should talk about your relationship or not, but you sort of brought it up through your music. But you seem a lot happier since you're not there, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I am. I have a lovely new boyfriend who's very supportive and lovely. That's really important to me, because not that your worth can come from someone else, but like feeling supported and having things that you might see negatively in yourself affirmed as positive and celebrated and all of that kind of thing makes such a huge difference to your self-esteem. And I should be able to do that more for myself, and I endeavour every day to do so.
But, you know, sometimes we meet people that exasperate things that we don't like about ourselves, I guess, and make things worse. And I had a abusive ex, and I'm so much happier out of it, but you just don't notice, do you? You're like, you don't see that when you're like in it. I think it's so it's amazing that you're like talking about stuff and letting that out through your music. I think that's really cool.
It's also amazing that you're talking about stuff
Thank
and
you.
letting that out through both this medium and the form of comedy.
Thank you. I love us.
Me too. A show that was reviewed well by legendary Russell T Davies.
I know, stop. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm obsessed. I think I actually texted you about it and I was like, that's iconic.
It's weird because it's such a difficult show and it's such a like hard thing to perform and talk about anyway. So to have someone say something so great that's so important to everyone is weird. I'm like, should I be celebrating this? This feels like something I can't celebrate. There's like a mental block there with it, which is very odd to experience. I mean, I guess in a way, do you feel like that with your music when I'm bringing it back to you? I'm so professional.
No.
You were trying to talk about me, but I was straight back to you. Did you notice that?
I did notice that. That was good.
We don't need to do that. Actually, let's just stay. I'll just bask in my own limelight for a second. Thanks. But yeah, do you feel similar when you're performing these songs, or are you actually like, is it cathartic?
It is sort of both, and it depends on the situation. I think something that you probably also empathise with, because we've literally both just done it there, is like having the difficulty of sort of like focusing on yourself and going, yeah, I did that and it's really great. You were asking me about my music and I went, and anyway, here's a similar thing that you do.
My God,
really
you did
good.
Do that, yeah.
And then you went, and back to your music and blah, 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 and like passed it back and forth. And I
That's
think,
very weird. Why are we doing that?
well, it comes from the insecurity. The idea of celebrating a success in that way is very difficult if you don't necessarily feel like you are owed that kind of love, if it's not something that's familiar to you, if it's not something that you're used to. Don't you usually talk about like willies and bums?
Sometimes, yeah.
It goes both ways.
Oh,
hello. Yeah, I mean, we do. Yeah, you just did it again, which I think is so funny.
Oh, God,
don't you normally talk about something else? It's so, that's such an interesting thing to clock. We both do that. I think we both realised that recently when we were on a tube together back from this party we were at. You said to me, do you like all of this stuff? And I just, it's like, no, not really. Yeah. And I really appreciate that moment, because it's really difficult to be a person like us in this world where we have to be loud and proud, because it's not easy to do that, and it's not always something you want to do.
No, it's really difficult. And I think it's something that I've struggled with, because I, especially in the drag world, don't have that delusional confidence to be like, I am the one, mama, Miss Boots, yes God, hunty. But also, that's how they all talk, by the way. But that's something that I've come to realise is actually like a unique superpower. Like, if you had that capability to like entirely celebrate yourself and like revel in all of those kinds of things, you might not be as good at your job, which is like having interest in other people and talking to them about that kind of thing, which you are extremely good at. But like, who knows where all of these things come from? If I wasn't so sad about stuff, maybe I wouldn't be able to write songs.
Yeah, it's got really deep.
Yeah.
I was looking at Dan for A Way Out.
But also, Willies.
Yeah, Willies. The last conversation we had about Willies was interesting, because I was trying to work out how big Dan was.
And the answer is?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know how big it is, but I don't know whether that's big or small, basically.
Can you just do like a hand gesture? It's actually far. We just met.
I won't look. You can do it to each other. I don't really want to know.
Probably like that big.
Because I think if I knew, it would just it'd be weird for our relationship
like
professionally.
That?
Do you know what I mean?
I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. This was sort of the discussion, really, but whether it matters or not.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a good point. If you put the hands away.
Yeah.
Firstly, what do you think? And secondly, does it matter?
We should have established whether we meant in like a flaccid or turgid state.
Right, yes. Turgid, what a great word.
It is a good word,
That's
isn't
a
it?
horrible word.
No, it's
I like it.
I like your.
Was it
turgid.
flaccid or turgid?
I've never actually heard that word, but that means erect, right?
It means.
I guess, in that
hard boner.
In that form, I guess.
Slay. Okay. I don't necessarily think it matters, and I'll tell you for why. I don't care about it personally.
Interesting.
Well, I understand that some people are like certain sizes. You might not like a larger penis because you have a tighter hoop, or you may prefer a larger penis because it hits your second hoop.
Yeah, but you can just use a fist.
Yep.
So,
Right, well,
I guess.
so in conclusion, it doesn't really matter.
No, because the solution is fisting. That's all we've got time for this week.
Yeah.
on the podcast.
Please stream Tia's music and also check out Tia's awesome new podcast. I say new, you've been going for 20 episodes now, which is a pretty
something
big.
like that.
Yeah, it's a big milestone.
Yeah.
It's called The Final Frontier, and we'll link to it in our episode description.
yes. Thanks for listening to A Gay A NonGay.
Bye.
Love you.